Starting the live stream now, and welcome to the live stream. Got to put up our little thing here. Let me just invite some people on Facebook real quick and do that. Also got to prop this up. There we go. There, that way it won't overheat. And just over this way, let's prop up this little thing. And boom. Oh no. Yeah, whatever. And it's time to start our live stream, everyone. Okay. Hello, everybody. Let us begin. Welcome to the live stream. Glad you could join us tonight. Let's see. Before we begin, this is the last monument-based wonder. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome, Fire. Glad you both could join us tonight. Be curious what kind of what text that is. Is it like a hint? Welcome, Bob. Love your cup of coffee. It's great for the morning. Doing some adjustments here for our little recording, so 1 second. That's not working for me. So we're going to begin in a couple minutes. I'm just going to wait for some people to pop up on the live stream. All the same, I have to I'm going to turn some stuff around real quick and make some quick adjustments. Alright, so welcome 985 to the live stream. Tonight's the 43rd Wonder of China, Modern Buildings and Infrastructure. I'm glad you could join us tonight. So, I am about ready to begin when everyone else is. If anyone knows anything about modern infrastructure and buildings, go ahead and state so. Otherwise, we shall begin. With the quote at the top. When the sleeping dragon awakes, the world will be amazed. Napoleon, 1800. No, I majored in history. Welcome, Kurt1. Glad you can make it to the live stream. So, I am actually an American, so I'm going to probably have American pronunciation tonight. So, we will see how if you can adjust to that. Welcome, F84. Welcome to the live stream. We are doing the 43rd Wonder of China, Modern Buildings and Infrastructure. Imperial China was famed for its major constructions, which are featured everywhere in this book. Today, the government in Beijing and the ruling Communist Party, along with provincial administrators, have encouraged don't be sorry, Fire. I'm just glad you can make it with us tonight. Have encouraged a spate of building on a scale. Yep, spate. I guess that means like an increase in this case. That's what spate means. Welcome at work. Glad you can make it tonight on your time off. Of building on a scale that even the most glorious emperors could not envision. China had become not only the workshop of the world, but its greatest construction site, stretching from a huge new city around Chongqing in Sichuan province in the west, and the Three Gorges Dam to the gleaming towers of Beijing and Shanghai. Major cities are being developed across the country, not only in the fastest growing coastal belt, but also inland regions, such as the municipality of Chongqing, which has 12 million people living in the metropolis itself, and another 19 million spread over outlying areas. A huge project is underway to bring water to parched regions of North China, along with 3 canals covering 1,370 kilometers. It is expected to take 50 years to complete at the cost of 33 billion pounds. Hong Kong has long been a byword for modern urban development, but its economic growth has taken off. Chinese cities have seen some of the most intense construction on Earth in recent years, leading to the joke that the national symbol should be a crane. In 2003, the country became the world's biggest producer of cement, and its demand fueled a steep rise in world steel prices. 4 of the tallest buildings in the world are in China, in Hong Kong, Shanghai, and the southern cities of Guangzhou and Shenzhen, while Shanghai takes pride on the 420-meter high Jim Mao Tower, a former British colony. Points to what must have been the 2 finest bank buildings in the world. The Bank of China, in its central district, by the Chinese-American architect I. M. Ping, and nearby Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank, offices designed by British architect Norman Foster. Welcome 3AD and welcome back, Bob. I'm glad you could all join us tonight. We are on monuments and buildings. Our last monument wonder for China. Airports have sprouted across the country, including the ultra-modern, architecturally accomplished installations in Shanghai and Hong Kong. Around another 50 airports are on the drawing board. Tens of thousands of miles of highways are planned, along with major new high-speed railway lines, such as the one destined for link to Beijing and Shanghai. In 2006, China opened the world's highest railway between the capital and Tibet, which runs over a plateau 5,450 meters above sea level. As benefits the country which pioneered bridge building, the world's longest arch bridge, the Lapu Bridge, spans the Hongpa River outside Shanghai, carrying a 6-lane highway over a 520-meter main span. One of the 4 bridges over the river that runs through China's biggest city, another major transport link combining a 16-kilometer tunnel and a 9-kilometer suspension bridge, connects Shanghai to outlying Kunming Island. In another sign of its modernity, Shanghai has installed a German-built magnetic levitation railway to whisk passengers to and from its new airport at speeds of up to 435 kilometers an hour. Welcome back, Fire, and welcome to the live stream, everyone else. I'm glad you all could join us tonight for the modern marvels of China. Since huge investments in infrastructure have been a major driving force in pushing China's economic growth, some economists worry that it may be too high, making the country too dependent on such projects and causing economic imbalances. Big environmental concerns have also been raised about some of the projects, and the pollution caused by the expansion of air travel, industry, and motor transport. The hydroelectric dam in the Three Gorges of the Yangtze River, on which work started in 1993. Welcome OFO, I'm glad you could join us tonight for the finals part on monuments and buildings, which is modern buildings. Is the biggest project of its kind on Earth, 2.4 kilometers wide and more than 180 meters high. It will create a reservoir stretching back nearly 640 kilometers along the river. The locks through which shipping will pass are 280 meters long, 35 meters wide, and 5 meters deep, designated to handle barges and cargoes weighing up to 10,000 pounds. Welcome, Simon. I'm glad you could join us tonight for the live stream. We are on the next paragraph. Its backers point to its rule on lessening the country's serious economic energy shortage with only small effect on air pollution. It is due to provide 10% of energy needs by 2009, or as many as 18 nuclear power plants. They also say it will help flood control and meld in with the policy of encouraging economic growth in inland provinces by facilitating shipping along the river. Though historical treasures have been moved to higher ground, the building of the dam has involved the displacement of more than 1 million people and the flooding of some 1,300 archaeological sites, while altering the landscape of the Three Gorges by raising the water level. Welcome to the live stream, IS. I'm glad you could join us tonight. Ecologists worry about the effect on wildlife along the upper Yangtze and other rivers are troubled by the effect of silt carried down China's biggest river, which could reduce the power output from the dam while also affecting the fertility of the lower Yangtze by cutting the amount of silt washed down the provinces to the east. And that actually ends our section on monuments and buildings. Let's go take a look at a couple pictures before we go. Right here is the Three Gorges Dam, the largest dam in the world. Just over here is the Bank of China, the Citibank Tower, and the HSBC building in Hong Kong. Down here, welcome Eric Zhao to the live stream. Glad you could join us tonight. How are you doing today? Down here is the departure hall of Pudong International Airport, Shanghai. Welcome back to the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight. Another little bit over here. Final piece is one of the lobbies at Hot Hotel from the inside of the Jingmao Tower, Pudong, Shanghai. Welcome E14, welcome Victor JC, welcome Dorit to the live stream. Glad you all could join us tonight. We are going to proceed forward with our next section, which, nope. Shoot. 1 second, guys. Shoot. Hello. There we go. Alright. China's arts are wide and deep. They cover an enormous range, and have profound history, stretching back millennia to form an integral part of the world's oldest continuous civilization. The story of Chinese arts is in part the least the story of the country as it has moved through different stages of development under the overall umbrella of the imperial system. Alright, that's a bummer. No, I'm not really sure how to solve the video problem right now, but I've been having that trouble since I started. It's not been solving. There is a beauty in everything, Confucius taught, but not everyone sees it. In the case of the wonders of Chinese arts, this is hardly the case. Many were made to attract attention, to demonstrate extreme degrees of workmanship and refinements, and to bear witness to the owner's social status. Imperial patronage was always important, as was the respect of the scholar gentry class. Welcome to the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight. The elaborate court ceremony in the Forbidden City included the finest works the country could provide. Imperial garments, notably those made of silk, and objects such as those made of jade, reflected the exquisite skills of Chinese artists and of artisans who rose to supply the country's rulers, usually anonymously. Welcome, Gina, to the live stream. Glad you could join us tonight. How's your day going? The last dynasty of the Qing through from Manchuria beyond the Great Wall. It had kept appreciation of how to use art to spread the message that it presided over a multicultural domain stretching from the nomadic lands of the northern steppes to the intense rice cultivation of the south. The search for modernity in the 20th century was amply reflected in literature and in the visual arts. The Maoist era saw art pressed into service of the new state. Today, as China sets out on its new road, iconism and invention, sometimes bordering on nihilism, accompany the march to the market. Welcome back to the live stream. I'm sad that it's a little bit slow tonight, but we will make it through. And for some reason, we don't have the picture for the next page. Alright. Let's figure this out. No, I guess we do. Alright. Economy. But there is also a widespread appreciation of the value of past achievements, even if perhaps the biggest single collection lies across the sea in Taiwan, where it was taken by Chiang Kai-shek nationalists in 1949. Welcome to the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight. Arts like porcelain and lacquer work also served significant commercial purposes as sources of export income. Significantly, all three come from the humble ingredients and epitomize the way in which human ingenuity can make something fine and lasting. Out of a virtual nothing, jade was another much prized natural resource, hard to sculpt but used in everything from belt ornaments to ... Welcome, Han Chen. Glad you made it to the live stream. How was your day? The iron pots on the scholar's desk. The great Qing Emperor Kuai-Long was said to have brought together a collection of 30,000 jade objects having poems he wrote inscribed on some of them. Calligraphy always held a prominent place. Fine manipulation of the brush was prized, not only for its visual appeal, but as a sign of learning. Some of the most successful graduates of the imperial examinations that selected the top bureaucracy were known for their expertise. The literal tradition can be traced back 3,000 years, with the succeeding centuries bringing Confucian analects. The versions of the Tang era and the dramas of the Ming working of bronze also began early, with examples having been found that date back to 4000 BC. The Shang dynasty refined bronze objects and very large pieces weighing up to 875 kilograms, and the traditional development developed further under the first great Qing emperor and succeeding the Han dynasty, but then appears to have run out of invention. In everyday life, well-off Chinese took pleasure and pride in two other characteristic art forms: furniture, which evolved through the dynasties, and the beauty of Chinese gardens with their pavilions and rocks. Chinese painting is probably best known for its depictions of rural scenes, putting humans in a natural setting, sometimes highly realistic, and other presenting swirling, imaginative visions of mountains, rivers, and skies. The earliest known surviving scroll painting admonitions of the court instructress probably dates back to the 3rd or 2nd century BC, made in the gossamer thread style, which depicts how the empress and concubines should behave. After centuries in which different approaches to painting ran through Chinese art, the Italian Jesuit Guadalupe Casalong, who sought vainly to convert the Qianlong Emperor, introduced Western techniques. He himself, working in a mixture of Chinese and European styles, which for its introduction of perspective and shading still reflected the universalist worldview of the Chinese Empire. So if anyone has any questions or comments, please state them below. I noticed that the live stream seems to be slow enough to reduce our crowd tonight. So let me just find... Let's just go and take a look at some images. Right here is a bronze mask decorated with gold leaf from the Bronze Age. Welcome Fing to the live stream. I'm glad you can make it tonight. How is your morning going? On the previous page, what we have here is a sculptor making one of the guardian lions, as you can tell. Looks like I'm going to have to change up my live streams a little bit more. Not in a bad sense, but it is what it is. Alright, welcome Chris F. I'm glad you can make it tonight. How are you doing? We are now on the 44th Wonder of China, bronze work. I'm going to read the quote above. I'm good myself. So, although there were independent cultural traditions developing from diverse cultural centers, the cultural system characterized by the Shang and Zhao cultures in the Central Plains always maintained the leading position in Bronze Age China. Welcome to the live stream. I'm glad you can make it tonight. We are on the 44th Wonder of China, bronze work. Bronze is an alloy of copper, tin, and lead. In any civilization, the use of bronze is a major watershed, for it requires a settled, specialized, and tightly organized community. Chinese bronze work has a long history. It was seldom equaled and never surpassed in any other ancient civilization. Its origin in China can probably be traced back as far as 4000 BC. By 2000 BC, China had entered an actual Bronze Age. From then until the reign of the Qing dynasty's last emperor, bronze was widely used and played an important role in ancient Chinese society. Bronze handed down or earthed so far suggests that Chinese bronze work developed as an independent system. Compared with other civilizations in which making of bronze tools and agricultural implements was the main signifier of the Bronze Age, the symbols of this epoch in China were bronze ritual vessels and weapons. Ancient China also differed from ancient civilizations by using casting rather than forging as a bronze making technique. Welcome back to the live stream. I'm glad you could rejoin us. We are on bronze work. Late in the Bronze Age, a second technique of bronze casting, usually called the lost wax method, came into use in China. The fact that Chinese artisans used the complicated piece mold and core method for most of their history suggests that their bronze industry developed independently from that of the West, where lost wax bronze casting appeared by 3500 BC. Welcome, Erica, to the live stream. Glad you could join us tonight. Why was it that bronze making developed so rapidly in ancient China? First, by the end of the Neolithic period, Chinese artisans had already mastered exceptional technical skills through the making of ceramics. Secondly, bronze was an extremely precious commodity in ancient China. Its use and distribution seems to have always been a monopoly of the ruling class. So, from the beginning, bronze was used to create majestic vessels that played central roles in state rituals and ancestor worship. During the Shang and Western Zhao dynasties, along with the development of the Chinese ritual ceremony system, bronze making grew quickly. Up until the late Shang dynasty, decoration in bronze work was very refined and complicated. Some huge bronze ... Works of this period suggest that the making of bronze was a consummate skill. One good example is the Su Mu Wu square tripod, which is 130 centimeters long, with a total weight of 875 kilograms. Welcome, Rosemary C35. I'm glad you could join us tonight for the live stream. We are on Chinese bronze works. And welcome also to the live stream. We are on the Arts Bronze Work, the 44th Wonder of China. The dragon came to dominate the popular animal mask details and gilded geometric patterns, and true-life drawings were used in the decoration of bronze work. Although casting was the dominant technique, the lost wax method was applied in bronze making for the first time. During the Warring States period, the development of economic exchange meant that great numbers of bronze coins were in demand, forcing the rapid development of mass production. Although bronze was used until the 20th century, Qing and Han dynasties were the final resplendent stage of Chinese bronze work. There were some magnificent pieces made in this period, such as the bronze-colored painted chariots unearthed in Emperor Qing Shenghongdu's mausoleum, and Chengxing Palace bronze lamp found in the Manchen Han tomb in Hebei. Since the Han Dynasty, there have been few technical innovations in bronze work. In China, the difficult technique of bronze making does not seem to have hindered the ancient craftsmen from making vessels of enormous scale almost from the start. An ancient Chinese book, Guogong Ji, records the directions for making bronze products, explaining the 6 kinds of bronze alloy known as Luji, and gives us detailed descriptions of the different compositions of bronze work for different purposes. Of the many bronze objects used in ancient China, the tripod is the most distinctive and important, for it was always regarded as the symbol of the state. Bronze tripods were usually used by rulers to hold offerings of food and wine that were presented to royal ancestors and deities. Welcome, Mimis, to the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight. We are on Chinese bronze works. In a famous Chinese legend, Hongdi, the traditional first emperor, cast 9 monumental bronze tripods symbolizing the 9 provinces of his realm. How are you doing, Mimi? When his dynasty fell, these precious ritual vessels were claimed by the new rulers, the Shang, and in turn, with the defeat of the Shang, these symbols of the state were taken over by their conquerors, the Zhao. Besides the tripod, there are many other kinds of bronze work, such as wine containers and weapons. Alright, that's good. My day is going pretty well. I mean, live stream numbers are a little low today, but I get some low days here and there. The decoration of early Chinese bronzes was an integral part of the object. The Chinese craftsmen preferred to cast the entire vessel in one pour, but complicated decoration was sometimes cast separately. Welcome back to the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight. Apart from the virtual function in ancient China, ritual bronzes can be extremely important historical documents due to the inscriptions that many of them bear. Cast into the surface of a vessel, these inscriptions were first seen during the late Shang dynasty as identification of the vessel's owner or the ancestor to whom it was dedicated. During the Western Zhao period, inscriptions appear in increasingly great numbers and at longer lengths, extolling the achievements and recording other contemporary events. Bronze inscriptions are first-hand sources that often serve as a check against the accounts of earlier events preserved in later histories. From the inscription technique and decoration of bronze work, we can verify famous historical affairs and research the history of long-lost sites. The Bronze Age officially comes to an end in China between the 6th and 5th centuries BC, when cast iron began to take over. Despite the loss of its prestige, the bronze tradition continued at the reduced scale and was still used, for example, in making bells. Welcome to the live stream, 3 Degrees. I'm glad you could join us tonight. There are no clear records about the origin of Chinese bronze bells, but we have found them in some archaeological sites of the Xia dynasty. During the 16th to 11th centuries BC, the Shang craftsmen could already manufacture many different kinds of bronze bell, and the examples unearthed in Anyang can be divided into several categories according to style. So I've learned more about how to do bits of this live stream, and it's kind of made it a little more efficient. In the Zhao dynasty, bronze bells were thought of as a top musical instruments, used during the ritual ceremonies and palace banquets to perform yang yin. The chime bells found the tomb of Jing Yi are perfect examples of this kind of bronze bell. Since the Han Dynasty, the round-edged shape of the Indian bell found the introduction of Buddhism in China. Welcome Norman Wong to the live stream. We are on bronze works. I'm glad you could join us tonight. How's your day going? These bells were made widely in China and thought of as holy vessels, representing the king and divinity. So bronze bell making developed rapidly in the following dynasty. In the Ming and Qing dynasties, this technique reached the peak of its development and was used widely in sacred places such as temples and palaces. Teachers can chat about other things. I also open up the chat to anyone who knows about bronze work or anything about the current topic. We're in the next page or so, we're going to move on to jade, but that's in a little bit of time, so. The technique reached, the 500-year-old Yongle bell is a good example of a bronze bell during this period. The Yongle bell hangs in the bell tower of the Daozhong Temple in Beijing. It was made in the Yongle period of the Ming Dynasty by Emperor Zhou Li and was usually rung at festivals. Welcome to the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight. Made from an alloy of copper, tin, and lead, this bell is 6.94 meters tall and weighs 46.5 tons. On the surface of the bell, there is 230,000 word inscription that includes over 100 sutras in Chinese and Sanskrit. It has the greatest amount of inscription on a single bronze object in the world, and it took scholars over 4 years to complete the rubbing. Until modern noise intervened, its sound could be heard as far away as 40 to 50 kilometers, hence its other name, King of the Bronze Bells. Welcome back, Eric Zhao. I'm glad you can make it to our live stream. We have just finished on the bronze works. And let's go through some of the pictures. Right here is the King of the Bronze Bells, which at its height could be sounded away from 40 to 50 kilometers away. Right here is a set of bronze chime bells found in the tomb of Yang Ngao Yi. Over here is a large and intricately decorated wine jar made of bronze. Even has a little swan on top. Welcome, Almira. I'm glad you could join us tonight. We are looking at the bronze works of China. Down below, there's an inscription on a bronze vessel. I can't read it, and it's hard for you guys to read it too. And the book doesn't say what it is, so. Right here is the giant Shu Mawu square tripod, unearthed at Anyang, Henan province from the Shang dynasty. Up here is a detailed bronze dragon. Just over here is the Shang dynasty figure found in Sichuan province. And this big beauty right here was made for the Chengxing Palace and is a bronze lamp. Oh no, sorry, this was the bronze lamp, and this was the court official from Sichuan province. And right here is the three-legged bronze vessel for wine storage. And this is a diagram showing the piece mold and core method of casting bronze. So with that in mind, we're going to move forward to jade. If anyone has any questions or comments about jade, go ahead and post them in the comments below. Let's see. Alright. It took me 1 second to figure out where the jade section was, but I'm glad for your patience. So I'm going to read the quote at the top of the page first. Anciently, superior men found the likeness of all ancient qualities in jade, soft, smooth, and glossy. It appeared to them like benevolent, fine, compact, and strong, like intelligence, angular, but not sharp and cutting, like righteousness. Its flaws not concealing its beauty, nor its beauty concealing its flaws, like loyalty, esteemed by all under the sky, like the path of the truth and duty. Li Jie, Book of Rites. Jade is a material inextricably associated with Chinese, though they are by no means the only culture that has worked it. It has been fashioned longer in China than anywhere else for probably 8,000 years, and has long been revered in that land. Confucius praised it as a material reflecting all good qualities of the perfect gentleman. In a country where gold and diamonds were never valued in the same way as in the West, jade was and remains at the top of the Chinese hierarchy of valued materials. Jade is, in fact, generic. Welcome, Selena748. I'm glad you could join us tonight. How are you doing? At least for me, it's nighttime, so. Both referred to as yu in Chinese, but having different physical characteristics. However, until relatively recently, the jade used in China was almost entirely nephrite. Welcome 1DB and welcome TCH to the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight. We are looking at the 45th wonder of China, jade. This was originally available in the north and eastern parts of China, though these sources were basically exhausted by the end of the Neolithic period. After this time, nephrite was mined in what is now Zhejiang province in western China, and access to the material depended largely on the control the Chinese had over the territory. Jadetide from Burma only came to be used extensively from the 18th century AD. Working jade is very difficult. Jade is harder than metals such as bronze and iron, so that it cannot be shaped with metal tools alone. Welcome Alibaba to the live stream. We are on jade tonight. The material is also extraordinarily tough and difficult to break. Although we refer to the carving of jade, it has been worked by time-consuming abrasive methods. Traditionally, fine sands or ground natural minerals such as quartz, garnet, and corundum abrasives that are all harder than jade were used. The abrasive was mixed with water and applied with various iron or steel tools. Archaeological evidence suggests jade was first worked in the northeast of what is today China, in present-day Liaoning province and Inner Mongolia as early as 5000 BC. During the Neolithic period, we can, of course, only guess at its significance for the people who so patiently and laboriously carved it there. There are no written records to explain either its function or attraction for these peoples. Some of the earliest shapes included earrings, Jiu. The Hongshan culture centered around Liaoning province and dated to about 3500 to 3000 BC, and slightly later Longzhou culture, centered in Jiangsu and Zhejiang provinces in southeast China, are the two earliest jade working cultures for which we have substantial evidence. There might be up to about 20 jades in one elite tomb of the Hongshang, including the so-called Pendragon and chest and hair ornaments in Laozhou. Welcome Jay Martin and Ian Chow. Glad you could join us tonight. How is your day going? Mine is going pretty well. In the Laozhou culture, there might be as many as 300 jade in ... any one elite tomb, including the quintessential Lingzhu jades, the so-called Bai and Kong, the round disc, and the hollowed-out tube, the latter often decorated with mysterious, fierce masks in relief, the iconography of which is still not understood. Welcome back, Ian Chow. The tube shapes were often found aligning the body in the grave, and discs placed predominantly on the chest and the stomach of the deceased, but the significance of these jades is unknown. Jade axes were also buried, with many beautifully decorated fittings as well as necklaces, awls, and many beads. Jades have also been found in many other Neolithic cultures within China. Many axes and tools were fashioned in jade rather than stone, and their gleaming polish distinguished them from their more utilitarian prototypes. These were probably for ceremonial and ritual use. One of the most dramatic finds in the 20th century was that of the unrobbed tomb of a consort of a Shang king who flourished around 1200 BC. Welcome, Amy, to the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight. We are on jade, the 45th wonder of China. Fang Hong was buried with 750 jades. Many of these were pendants with holes for suspension, some in human or animal forms, though we have no idea if they were worn during her lifetime or made specifically for her to take to the afterlife. She was also buried with some Neolithic jades that by her lifetime were already 2,000 years old, showing the extent to which jade already was clearly prized. Particularly beautiful jades in the subsequent Zhao period were often valued and used as trophies to be exchanged between rulers. It was during this period that the idea of incorruptibility of jade as a material, because of its hardness, seems to have begun to be linked with the idea that if used to cover a body in death, it would stop the body's disintegration and leave it whole for the afterlife. Many bodies have been discovered where the faces were covered with small jades shaped like the facial features sewn onto textiles placed over the faces. Then the body from neck to the knees was covered in long and elaborate pendant sets. Welcome to the live stream. Glad you could join us for jade. With halberds and awls, such an association of jade and the incorruptibility of the human body accumulated in the use of jade of the jade suit during the Han Dynasty. Other notable jades of this period include sword fittings, some vessels, and three-dimensional animal figures. From the end of the Han to the Tang, very few jades have been discovered archaeologically, and we know relatively little about the jade production of this period. They would seem to have been passed down from generation to generation and worn or used rather than being buried for the afterlife. During the Tang Dynasty, many hoards were buried at times of unrest and, fortunately for us, not recovered until the last century. These include jade belt sets, which were a maker of the highest rank according to their prevailing subliminary laws. There were also hair and dress ornaments for women. Vessels modeled on more popular metal shapes of the period were also produced at this time. During the Song period, the emperors, as custodiaries of the imperial art collections, printed catalogs of them. These were subsequently used by various craftsmen as pattern books. Thus, many archaic shapes, even those in other materials such as bronze, were copied in jade, the stone so prized still by the Chinese. It was during the last two imperial dynasties, those of the Ming and the Qing, that jade was worked most extensively, and the majority of the jades we prize today are from these two periods. Mined jade was more easily available because of technological advances and supplemented the river jade pebbles used from earlier periods. This meant that larger jades could be worked, and improved tools and abrasives made jade carving easier and quicker. During this period, many items for the scholar's desk were made, including brush rests, brush pots, paperweights, and seals. Decoration, particular on brush pots, testifies to the skill of the jade workers had acquired in being able to work designs in 3D that had originated in two-dimensional drawings. The acme of jade production can be ascribed to the reign of the Qianlong Emperor, who reigned from 1736 to 1795. He was an ardent jade lover and was supposed to have amassed a collection of over 30,000 jades during his reign. His military campaigns included the conquering of the jade-producing area of Quetta, and he received tribute from the Mughal jade workers, whose works he admired and had copied at his court. He oversaw the production of the imperial jades and wrote many poems that were inscribed onto them. During his reign, many so-called obscurus jades were made, incorporating the punning rebuscles that are a feature of the Chinese language. The Qianlong Emperor promoted a renewed interest. Welcome D4E to the last 4 minutes. We are finishing up jade. Many decorative pieces survive from this period, including male belt accessories and ladies' hair ornaments and jewelry. Large, even huge jade boulders were composed depicting the stories and legends of Chinese history. Jadeite from Burma also began to be used for jewelry and exquisite carvings, incorporating jades of brilliant hues. Towards the end of the Qing dynasty, with growing political unrest in China, jade work suffered a major decline. Today, jade continues to be worked, and a high level of artistry can be seen occasionally, but many jades are mass-produced. Jade is still seen today as containing properties that promote good health, luck, and protection. Welcome endeavoring to the live stream. I'm glad you could join us tonight in the last 3 minutes. And many other Chinese will have some jade about their person. Welcome Lu Tengyang to the live stream. We just finished up jade, and let's look at some pictures. At the very bottom here is an 18th century jade brush pot for normal shops. Welcome CHNN. Glad you can make it to the live stream. Up here is a belt hook found in the Henan province, made during the Warring States period. Right here is the impressive figure of a horse made of jade during the somewhere between the Ming and the Qing dynasty. On the previous page we have right here a jade Kong that is 6.8 centimeters high. Oh, nope, that's this thing over here. Decorated with a monster mask design. To its right are dragon-shaped jades that make a sudden appearance in jade work in the 5th century BC. To the very bottom is a jade burial suit, in which jades are basically encapsulating the dead person into the afterlife. And right here is a coiled dragon, also a pig dragon, that survives from 3500 BC. So in 24 hours, we will be doing another live stream for the 70 Wonders of China, and the topic is calligraphy. If any of you have any calligraphy artwork that you would like to share, nope, that's not it. If any of you have any calligraphy artwork you want to share on the live stream, go ahead and do so. I might actually do a special live stream before or afterward on calligraphy, if you guys are interested, because that's always fun. With that in mind, have a good lunch and a good afternoon. I will see you tomorrow. And YouTube commenters, we are going to be doing another live stream tomorrow. I hope you stop by, but for the time being, all I have to say is good night.